What up? It's Icon back again. Today we're going over Arrow, episode titled Prochnost. Not sure how to pronounce that. Very good episode of Arrow. Definitely very good episode of Arrow. So let's get right into it, because Crisis is coming, and we're basically halfway done with Arrow's halfway over. So let's get right into it. So the episode starts with Oliver. He's training Mia. He's teaching her, the ways of the hood, of the arrow, the green arrow, showing her all different types of his training regimen and his arsenal. He's teaching her, they did everything but the salmon ladder. He's teaching her how to accurately shoot the tennis balls, which is a nice callback. He was showing her the different types of trick arrows, like the explosive arrows, the acid arrows, the arrows that, tie you up. Like they didn't do the boxing glove arrow, which would have been cool, or a buzzsaw arrow. And then she asked him, he told her, he was just like, although these are good tools, he was just like, don't rely on them too much, because that becomes a crutch. Then she was like, well, if you don't rely on them, then why do you have them? He was just like, well, to prevent a fight, because Mia's not really into preventing a fight before it starts. She's more of Mia's the one that starts the fight. And they did show a little montage of her using the trick arrows, so she's picking up some things. And I think this is Oliver's way of not only getting to bond with her and getting to know her, but at some point, because they know who the legends are, it's like the Flash can time travel, like the legends can time travel, Cisco can open breaches. It's not like they can't send them home, they can send them home whenever they want. But I guess Oliver's whole thing is aside from getting to know his adult children, when he sends them home, he wants to send Mia home with some tools, with some knowledge that she can use to, further her vigilanteism in the future. So William, he ends up, because remember Curtis in the last episode, he told them about the weapon that they would need to take down the Monitor, which one part of it was in Russia. So there are two parts of this. They need the plans to build the weapon, and they need plutonium to activate the weapon. So Oliver, William, Laurel, and Mia, they head over to Russia to get the plans. Diggle goes to get the plutonium. Now, for the Oliver side of the story, they get to Russia, they bump into Anatoly, another callback, and I like seeing the old characters come back. I just wish we could get the Huntress before this is over, but we'll see. Anatoly comes back, they're in Russia, they're just like, yes, brother this and brother that and blah blah blah. So they're just like, all right, in order to get the plans, we got to go to the Fight Club. And then Mia's like, oh cool, William's like, yeah, I met Mia at a Fight Club. And Oliver's like, you met her where? Then he's like, we met her at a Fight Club. And then Oliver's like, no, you're not going. And then Mia's like, why can't we go? He's like, it's not up for debate. So Oliver, Laurel, and Anatoly, they go to the club. Obviously, me and William show up anyway. And when they get to the club owner, he knows Anatoly, he knows Oliver used to be a Bratva captain, and he used to be the Green Arrow. So he tells Oliver, he's like, yeah, I'll give you the plans, but you got to fight in the cage. So Oliver's like, all right, cool, easy peasy. Anatoly says to Laurel, he's just like, there's something about you that I do not trust. Because, in the beginning, Laurel, before they left for Russia, Laurel had a conversation with Lila. And Lila told Laurel, she said, listen, the Monitor wants you to... Oliver's going to Russia to try to get plans to kill him. The Monitor wants you to sabotage the mission and steal the plans so Oliver can't get him. So Laurel's just like, I'm not that person anymore. Then Lila's like, but you have to do what you have to do to save, humanity and blah, blah, blah. So Laurel's just like, she's still struggling with the should I betray Oliver queen. So now, and Anatoly, for some reason, he picked up on that. He was just like, yo, something's off with you. He's like, you do not seem like you have turned over new leaves, So, then she was just like, well, leper can change his spots, bitch, because you did. But he keeps an eye on her. So Oliver goes in the cage. He ends up fighting the cage. This dude twice his size. He beats the dude's ass. Mia and William show up. Mia actually watches her dad whoop some guy's ass twice her size, and she's impressed because she's like, yeah, that's my pop. Because the thing is, Mia's whole thing is, I don't know if she doesn't believe in the legacy, but it's like, for years people have been telling her like, yo, your dad was a hero, like your dad saved the city, like your dad's the Green Arrow, like your dad was the shit. And I don't know, she just doesn't believe it. Or I guess when you see it in person, it still impresses you when you see it in person. So she ends up following him. And then, so Anatoly, Laurel, and William, they go to the car. because Oliver won the fight, so he's going to get the plans. Mia ends up following him into the room to get the plans. The actual Bratva shows up. The new Bratva shows up. They catch Mia because she was like snooping around. And then he was just like, then the Bratva guy was like, business does not take place without us knowing. So they kill the club owner, for doing business behind their back. And then they tie up Mia and they tie up Oliver. So Oliver's sitting in a chair trying to get his head, because he could dislocate his thumbs to get out of chair situations. And then the Bratva comes back in. There's like, yes, we tied your thumbs together because we know how you do. So they, which is funny because like they're hip to the game, like they know he can get out of that, so they tied his thumbs up so he couldn't break them. So he was just like, tell me what's on the drive, and then Oliver was like, no, I won't tell you. And then so they was like, all right, cool. He threatened to kill Mia. Oliver told him, he was like, their plans for a weapon. So then just for kicks, the guy, he unties Mia, and then he puts her on the line, and then he puts 5 guys in front of her, and he's like, ring the bell, just like in season 4? No, season 4. No, season 5 actually. Just like in season 5 when Oliver was in Russia, they had him and a bunch of guys try to fight some people to ring the bell. That's how you get into the Bratva. So they had Mia ring the bell, in 60 seconds, and she didn't do it. She failed, and then Oliver thought that that the guy was gonna kill her, but he was like, no, he put her through that because just in case Oliver was lying about the drive. Because, like, if he tells Mia, like, all right, you got 60 seconds to ring the bell before I kill you, then Oliver would have been like, no, wait, I was lying, blah, blah, blah. But apparently Oliver wasn't lying. And the guy's like, oh, my bad, I put you through that for nothing. He leaves. The guy goes upstairs. I don't know why he left them downstairs without killing them. But he goes upstairs because his whole thing is he's going to sell the drive. Laurel, Anatoly, and William, they bust in the basement and they free them. They're at the... they're back at Anatoly's house, and then Oliver's like, yo, we got to get the plans, and the kids aren't coming again, because he told them that the first time. He was like, you can't come to the fight club, and they showed up anyway. But this time he was like, yo, I'm putting y'all on a plane and I'm sending y'all back home. And then Mia's like, why? And then he's like, first of all, you got kidnapped, you got tied up. And then she's like, you got tied up too. I'm like, I got tied up because of you. And then he was just like, yo, it's too dangerous. He's like, you're my kids, damn it. And she was like, I mean, they grown. Like, they're grown-ass adults. But to him, it's like, he told her, he was like, yo, bro. He's like, first of all, you were like 13. I called you last night, to talk to you, and you didn't answer the phone, which pissed me off. He was like, yo, like the other day, like I looked in your crib, and hugged you before I left. And he was just like, you guys were kids literally to me like 2 days ago, and then she's like, but we're adults now, we can handle ourselves. And then he was just like, no. So he talks to Anatoly, and Anatoly's like, look, and this is the thing, Anatoly's like, bro, like, you're trying to teach them because you want them to be better. You want them to, and the same thing happened in Titans. Like, in Titans, the whole thing was Dick was teaching the newbies, and he was keeping them the horrible mistakes of the past from them. Like, he wasn't telling them about the past. And Oliver's doing the same thing. It's like he's trying to only tell them the good shit. He's not telling them the bad stuff. And it's the same thing in Titans. It's like, and Anatoly even told them, he was just like, if you want them to be better than you, you have to tell them your positives and you have to tell them your negatives. Because if you don't tell them the bad shit, they're not going to know how not to do it. The only way they can be better than you is to know the bad shit and to do better than the mistakes that you made. So it's like, you gotta tell them the mistakes, you gotta tell them everything, so he was just like, all right, fine. So he told everybody, he's like, all right, we're all going back. Me and I, we're gonna go in. So he's like, me and I are gonna go in the cage, we're gonna have a tag team cage fight. William's gonna get us in, and then while we're distracting everybody, Laurel and Anatoly's gonna steal the device back. So the two of them go in the cage. William ends up, putting them in a 6-on-2 matchup. They're whooping everyone's ass, and to the point where the Russian people got so upset, they tried to sabotage them. Like, they snuck a knife in to try to kill Mia and and Oliver. Oliver peeped it. Laurel went upstairs to go get the device. The Bratva guy showed up. Anatoly shot him in the back. He's like, I got you in the back, Black Canary. And then everybody, everybody left. Mia at one point, she even had a conversation with Laurel, and she was just like, in the future, she was like, she's like, you're the Black Canary, like, you're a hero. And then she was like, stop playing. And then Mia was just like, stop being modest. She was like, you do the right things. And, she's like, I can't live up to your expectations. And then she's like, don't try to live up to me or your father, because we're all flawed. She's like, do what you got to do for you, So they, and then, they end up doing, like, while they're in the cage, while me and Oliver's in the cage, once they got the plans, then William was like, yo, we got the plans, let's be out. Me and Oliver threw some smoke down on the floor, then everybody disappeared. They're back at the Anatoly's house, they got the plans, everything's cool. You know, Oliver ends up having a conversation with the kids. He tells them about his whole situation in Russia, like how he got into the Bratva and everything. He might have told them the whole, well, Mia asked him about Leanne Yu. So he probably told her the whole Leanne Yu thing. Like, he probably just sat there with them and just had a whole conversation about his 5 years on the island. And which is good because, again, he needs to tell them every single thing that happened so they know not to make his mistakes going forward. Anatoly had said to Laurel, he was like, you know, I was wrong. You apparently can. He's like, Canary can change its feathers. You know, and then Laurel was like, all right, cool. You know, she's like, I appreciate that. And then, you know, then everybody goes back home. Diggle, his job was to get the plutonium. So he ends up going, he finds Roy. He finds Roy still fixing cars, and then he brings Roy in on the mission. While they were on the mission, Roy was just like, yo, what happened to Renee and Dinah? And he's like, you know, they're busy. And then he was just like, yo, then he was like, well, what about Oliver's kids? He was just like, that's weird, you know, his kids are grown now. And then he was like, they went to Russia. And then he was like, you know, I got a son too. He's like, I adopted Ned Turner's son, and he works for you know, like, the future version of Argus. And then Roy's just like, all right, bro, you just named like 17 people who could have come with you. Why me? And then, you know, Diggle ends up telling him, he's just like, listen, in the future, you know, he was just like, you know, you go to exile, but then, you know, William brings you back. You end up joining the team, and then you help save Star City. And then, you know, Roy was like, well, that can't be because of the bloodlust. And he was like, no, he was like, being with the team is what helps cure your bloodlust. My whole thing is, I felt him being on the island by himself for that long. Eventually the bloodlust just went away because there was nothing for him to kill. But they said that him being around a team is what cures the bloodlust for him. So he was like, all right, fine. So the two of them click up, they get the plutonium. Roy's like, you know what, I think I'm gonna stick around because, and just like with previous episodes when they were talking about the Canary network, Dinah and Laura were like, why wait, let's do it now. When it comes to Renee being mayor, he was like, why wait, let's do it now. And then Roy was just like, yo, you tell me 20, 30 years from now, I end up, you know, rejoining the team, which helps my bloodlust. He's like, why wait, I might as well just do it now. You know, so he ends up staying with the team. So Roy's gonna be on the show from now. I guess he's going to be in the crossover too. Roy's going to be on the show from now until the end because the show's almost over, which was nice. Laurel goes back to Lila, and then Laurel's just like, listen, I didn't steal the plans, and I'm not going to because, you know, I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to be a better person, and doing what you and the Monitor want me to do is regressing, and I'm not going to do that. And then Lila's like, all right, you know, she was like, respect, because she was like, you changed, and I respect that. You know, Laurel's just like, you know, you should probably tell your family what's going on. And then she's just like, no, I'm not going to tell them yet. And then she's like, well, that sucks because I brought them with me. Oliver and Diggle roll up on Lila. Lila's like, oh my God. You know, Diggle's like, what's going on, Lila? And then they all get shot in the neck with like darts. And then Laurel, Diggle, and Oliver all pass out on the floor. And then Lila's just standing there like, oh no. And I'm not even sure if that is Lila or like the anti-Monitor's like girlfriend who's being played by Lila. Who knows? That could be Lila, but yeah, so yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens next. I mean, I know Captain Lance is supposed to appear next episode. Maybe it's a dream sequence or something, but yeah, Diggle, Oliver, and Laurel's kidnapped, so they're obviously got to break out if they want to be in the crisis. But yeah, but we'll see what happens. But it was cool. It was nice. It's nice now that Oliver, Mia, and William got over the whole children versus adult thing. So now they can just be in it. They can just fight. They can battle, and we can watch them in the field and in the fold, which is what we all came to see anyway. So that was it for Prochnost, you know, for Arrow. Great episode. Like I said, we're halfway done with this. Crisis is coming, and we're gonna cover it all the way up until the very end. So until next time, thank you for watching. Leave a comment, like, and or subscribe. And until the next video, I'm out this bitch.